Awesome. So after this week, we're going to be halfway through, which is crazy. So what you're going to see from me this week, before I forget to kind of pre-warn everybody, is we do halfway Zoom or in-person meetings with me. So everyone gets like a 20 to 30 minute time slot with me. It can be Zoom or in person at the gym for next week. So I'm going to get this schedule out to you guys on a Google Doc, and I'll basically have all these times available for you to sign up. And if you just plug your name into whichever 30-minute slot works for you, then we'll be able to, you just let me know if it's Zoom or in person, sit down and kind of go through your progress so far. Are we reaching those goals that you set for yourself? And then what does the rest of the next 3 weeks look like for you? Being able to accomplish those goals within that 6 week time frame. And hey, if we're not going to reach that 6 week time frame, what's a realistic time frame that we can then move ahead and set for you at that point? And then it also gives you a chance to give me feedback if there's anything that you're missing through this challenge or you want to see more of, kind of your chance to bring that to my attention. And then I can do what I can to try and meet those needs for everybody. So you'll get that via email. So keep your eye out for that by the end of this week. And so moving into what we have for today, we have some reminders to go over for week 3. Everyone's pretty much in your routines at this point, which is fantastic. Some of you are working on different things than others, which is always at this point where people tend to kind of split. And so we may have different goals. So I might have some people working on eating more food. I may have some people working on eating less food, or maybe at certain times of the day. So this is going to be more broad this week in terms of how to manage stress, what that looks like on your body, and then a nutrition plan. But unless you've hit a plateau or I have told you differently, the nutrition kind of outline that I'm going to show you may or may not pertain to you. So talking about some just gentle reminders as we go into this second half of this challenge, and kind of starting with limiting how much we're eating out, because especially as we get past that like big push for that first week when everyone's cooking, we're meal prepping, and we kind of get into the swing of things, and it's like, oh God, it's another weekend. I have to go grocery shopping again. What are the meals going to be for this week? Like, I'm tired of cooking. I'm tired of being in the kitchen. Just the reminder of why you're doing this, what those goals are, and how we can keep our head in the game moving forward. Alcohol is a dehydrator. So just keeping your eye on how many nights a week, maybe you're having a glass to 2 glasses of wine. I recommend keeping it to around 2 times a week if that's possible for you, 1 to 2 glasses, and that way we can kind of count that in, and it won't take away from reaching your goals no matter what they are in terms of gain more muscle mass, lose weight, put on some weight or muscle mass, or just being mindful and healthy about our choices, because those toxins do play a role in our recovery. So just being mindful of that. And then if you're someone who gets through the day and you like other beverages other than water, send me a photo of that nutrition label if it's something with a lot of sugar in it, because that's going to count as basically, I mean, depending on how much sugar is in it, a carbohydrate serving if it's something really with 25 grams or more of sugars in it, because sugars turn to carbohydrates within our body once we digest them. Not all sugary drinks are a bad thing, right? So if you're like going on a really, really long run or a really long hike, generally we need to replenish the calories that we're sweating out. So drinking is a quick way, not drinking alcohol, sorry, drinking things with sugars in them is a quick way to get in those fluids and replenish electrolytes. So they're not always a bad thing, but just being mindful you're sending me photos of drinks as well. And then we want to make sure, yes, that we're in a caloric deficit, but with what I've seen with you guys, everyone's been looking really good. And I'm really more so worried about the quantity and the quality of the food. As long as we're moving at least 3 times plus a week, based on what I've seen, I would have told you if we needed to take anything out. So for the most part, everyone is really solid on that front. And then it's okay to feel hungry between meals, but it's also your body telling you that you need more of something. So making sure that when it is time for that meal, that we're getting enough of what we're eating, and making sure it's well-rounded. So carbs, protein, and fats there as well. Just a quick little blurb on what alcohol does to your body. So it just increases inflammation, increases stomach acid, and then it just takes a long time for us to get from a dehydrated state to a hydrated state after we do go out and have a few drinks. So moving into this slide is if you have been hitting a plateau, or if I haven't told you, you need more calories. So this is where that, for some, we maybe start taking a few things away. So, and that's not a bad thing. We're still looking at well-rounded meals, but if I were to look at, and remember this pre or post protein shake, this could be a workout at noon. This could be a workout at 3 p.m., but you want to make sure that you're eating a protein shake with carbohydrates either before or after that workout. Doesn't matter at what time of day. If I'm looking at that first meal, generally we get fats, some fats, healthy fats out of proteins. So it's just, even though this says no fats for that first meal, it's no additional or added fats, okay? And this is if we hit a plateau and we need to start making some changes. Second meal, 3 to 5 hours later. 3 hours I found for my body is kind of that sweet spot where my blood sugar doesn't dip super low, and then I start reaching for all the snacks. So listening to your body, maybe you can go 5 hours between meals, but just knowing if you are going to go 5 hours, maybe you have something prepped and ready for you to eat, so we don't start reaching for all the things that are super fast and easy to grab. And then meal number 2, just making sure that we're making this well-rounded. So we're getting in every macro and then also some micros with a ton of vegetables. So we're thinking volume for vegetables, and then high GI carbs, so that we're making sure we're eating enough carbs, which could be a sweet potato, could be rice. Whoopsies, let's go back a second. And then keeping fat in that second meal. And then also for that third meal, keeping fat, but noticing that it says no high GI carbs. So this is when we really want to start focusing on vegetables, and it's the time of year for root veggies, which are higher in carbohydrates. So eating the lower glycemic index carbohydrates at night before we go to bed. So less calories to digest. You're probably not going to burn them after, 7, 8 p.m. at night. So getting the higher caloric carbohydrates in foods more around that midpoint of your day, so you have the whole afternoon to burn them off. And then by the time it's dinner time, you're doing volume versus high caloric foods, if that makes sense. So thinking like if you did like a pan roast of like zucchini, asparagus, broccoli, and then you could also throw in, squashes and beets and things like that. And that's where you're pulling your carbohydrates from all those root veggies. That would be a fantastic way to still fulfill the carbohydrate goal, but not kind of lop on all the high GI carbs. So hopefully this makes sense for everybody. Moving on to the last little bit for tonight is really about stress and how it affects our bodies. And so no one is totally immune to stress. We all know that, whether it's coming from our program, from your work, from the house. Just figuring out the appropriate way to manage it for you, your family, for your body, is really going to be what's going to set you apart and help you here. So for me, I know how to relieve my stress is exercise, or getting outside and taking my dog for a walk and being off my phone is the best way for me to just decompress from the day. So figuring out what that looks like for you to get recentered is really going to be helpful. And then making sure we're on a regular sleep schedule. So a lot of things that people overlook is the sleep and the hydration, especially when we're stressed out. They still play such huge roles in our bodies. Stress, this slide is one of my favorites. It really increases and disrupts our hormones. So if that's cortisol, that stress hormone is super high, it's going to throw all your other hormones out of whack and out of balance, kind of sending you into this overdrive. And this is where a few things start to happen. So when we're super stressed out, generally we're not getting a ton of sleep because we're trying to get a ton of things done, or we're up at night worried about what we have to get done. And then this triggers our hunger hormone to basically be suppressed. And so then that's when we start reaching for all the food. So it's this kind of like domino effect where it's like, I know I'm stressed and I know I'm tired, but I just want to reach for all the things. And it's that domino effect that until you catch up, it's hard to kind of stop that cycle. So just being aware of what's going on. And I really like to show this slide so you can have kind of a deeper understanding of how it affects us on an internal level. And then my next slide, which I believe is the last for tonight, is really, again, just stressing that if water has been hard for you to get in this week, because I know we talked about it last week, I want that to be one of your continuing goals. Remember, it is half your body weight in ounces of water a day, and that is for the individual that is not working out. So if you are working out, see if you can add 24 ounces at least to that amount of water. And that may sound like a lot of water to you. I like to space mine out through the day. So I make sure that in the mornings, and especially if you're sitting at a desk and you have like a 32-ounce water bottle, it's good to have time blocks for yourself. So I like to finish my first one by like 11 a.m., start working on my second one kind of around that lunchtime window and be done with it at least by 2 or 3 p.m. And then I start working on my third water bottle and try and be done with it around 5 p.m. And then, of course, if you're working out, an additional. And then again, just the benefits of sleep, they regulate hormones. It helps your body recover. This is just a reminder. I know you guys know all these things, but they play such a big role in keeping us healthy and keeping us positive. And also, if one of your goals is weight loss, they play such a big role together and just making sure that we're recovering and flushing out toxins on the day-to-day, that they're always important to review. In terms of it's not always just food, it's these life things that are really easily overlooked by pretty much everybody when it comes to bettering how we're feeling, and kind of making sure we're hitting, when we want to reach our goals and get our bodies feeling optimal, these are really going to come into play. So that is all I had for you tonight. Now, if you're wondering about, okay, what am I supposed to be doing this week with your food? You heard from me a little bit from this morning. Most of you have certain things you're working on, and I want you to continue to work on those throughout this week, unless I say anything differently between today and tomorrow. So continue what you're doing. Everyone had really fantastic results or good information that came into me today between yesterday and today. And so this is where the group kind of starts to split off, and consistency is key. So if you have had results towards your goals at this point, there's no need for me to change something moving in the right direction. It means your body is liking what's going on. It's liking the consistency and it's liking the amount of food you're eating. So until I see a plateau, we're going to roll with things moving in the positive direction because there is no need for me to change it. So if there's any questions on that, please shoot me an individual text. If you want an email, or we can talk about it on here. I just don't want to reference anyone's goals out loud. I wanted to keep, unless you want to, I wanted to keep that confidential, but happy to answer any questions about all the things. And that was all the slides for tonight. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing. And then if people have questions, please let me know. If I can get my clicker to respond to me. There we go. All right. Perfect. Okay, so does anyone have anything for me at this point in time? Looks like a negative. Okay.
No,
Laura.
yeah, no, I don't have anything. I was just
Okay.
gonna answer you.
Okay, great. Keep posting recipes and stuff on the Facebook, super helpful for me to see, / I like to use them. And there are things that I can add to the cookbook for later groups. So that would be super helpful if you guys find something that you like to keep posting it. And that is all I have, unless you guys have anything else. Okay, cool. We'll keep it short and sweet tonight, you guys. I'll send an email by the end of the week with sign up times, and then we'll go individually from there via text.
Thank you, Emily.
Thank you. Have a good night, everybody. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.